as much as I'm like, oh my God, you get on my nerves, like, why do I even bother with you? The truth is, I bother because I don't have the energy to start over. What's up, singles? Welcome back. And if you are new here, my name is Jay, and my channel is all about lifestyle tips for singles. In today's video, I'm going to do a little story time about my situationship, which has become the buzzword entanglement. But before we get into that, I just want to show you my little mini mukbang. So I have some Mexican food, which is my favorite. This is fajita nachos, and I have a little margarita here in my glass. Cheers. Only for grown-ups though. Ooh, that's good. And I'm going to be eating and telling you guys this story. All right, where do we begin? First of all, let me pour some cheese on my chips. This little jar is hot. So, Ooh. Ooh, yes, baby, come to me. Let me put my arms around you. This was meant to be. I'm oh so glad I found you. Need you every day. Oh, so good. All right, so about 18 years ago, I was in college, and I didn't really have a lot of dating experience when I was a teenager. I didn't date. I didn't have a boyfriend when I was in high school. My parents really never talked to me about dating and boys. And not to put it all on them, but we just weren't that family. Like, we never talked about that kind of stuff. So when it came to talk about that stuff, I was like, y'all going somewhere, because it's been this long since, we've never talked about it, and I've gone this long. So ain't no sense in talking about it now. So we never talked about boys and relationships and stuff like that. So when I got to college, I was very green about what it meant to date and meet boys and be with boys, and how boys act and how they start to act worse as they get older. Yeah. So when I met this guy in college, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to expect. That's good. We met one night out at the local college club, which should have been a red flag there. Don't meet people at clubs. But at school, that was just like the thing to do. You go out to this one particular club. I went to SIU in Carbondale, Southern Illinois University. And there was just this club called the Sports Blast that we would go to every weekend. So I met him. We exchanged numbers. I thought he was funny. Thought he was cute. And after that, we just started, hanging out, as the young kids say. So we would be hanging out at night in our dorms and watching movies. And when the other person's roommate wasn't there, you let your imagination run wild, because you probably know what was happening after that. So we went our entire college career like that, like just going back and forth, but never really establishing that we were in a relationship. It was just like a thing we would do. We would hang out, but it wasn't even like dating. It was just, we're hanging out, and if we feel up to it, we're gonna have some grown folks time. But never having the conversation about dating, monogamy. Am I seeing someone else? Are you seeing someone else? It was just like, in hindsight, it was stupid and it was weird. Like, who thinks that that's acceptable? Again, I guess I did, because I didn't know any better. What I would equate the situation to is, imagine going to a job. You never filled out an application. You never had an interview. And you just show up one day and start working. Then all of a sudden the manager asks you, like, who do we make the paycheck out to? But you have no W-2. You have no real schedule. You just show up and start working. Sometimes you get paid and sometimes you don't. But you never were actually offered the position of the job. There might not have even been an open position available, but you there working. It's the weirdest thing. That's what this situationship was like, okay? So like I said, that went all through college until we graduated. And then we moved back home. Well, he lives in like St. Louis, Missouri, and I live in Southern Illinois, which is about 15 minutes from St. Louis. And when we got out of college and we moved back home with our respective families, we could always see each other because we were just 15, 20 minutes away. So we kept up this hanging out, spending time together. But again, never putting a name to what we were doing. Never even talking about the details. Like, it doesn't necessarily need a name, but can I know the details? Like, at least when I get a job, I know when I'm supposed to show up, what I'm supposed to do, when I'm supposed to clock in, when I'm supposed to clock out. You know, just like regular, normal stuff. But that never happened. We never had the discussion about what each other's expectations were from the other person. So after a few years of doing that, I got a job and I got a house, and then we were kind of not living in sin, if you will, but he was over a lot. He was over to the house a lot, and we just spent a lot of time together. And I worked in St. Louis, so we would see each other then. When I would get off work, he would come over. If I was off work, he would come over. It was just, again, a continuation of something we had started when we were 20 years old. And by this time, how old was I? By this time, I was 27. So this had been going on for 7 years. So I moved away for work, and we still kept in contact, like via Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. And when I would come home from like breaks from being at the job, we would still be hanging out, spending time with each other. Now, meantime, whilst I was gone, this guy had been in and out of multiple relationships, okay? Multiple relationships. But at the time, it was just weird because at the time, when he was in a relationship, and I found out, like, through the grapevine. You know, Facebook is a crazy thing that way. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, are you with this person? He was like, no, we broke up. And I was like, okay, cool. But just so you know, I'm not trying to be nobody's side chick, okay? Like, if you're in a relationship, then you and I are done. And if you're single and I'm single, then we can hang out and do the thing. Hanging out that's literally the 20-year-old word for entanglement. But like, hey, we can do that, but I'm not trying to, have somebody roll up on me. Like, if you're in a relationship, you be in that relationship. If I'm in a relationship, I'll be in a relationship, but don't have me in the crossfires, okay? So that was our understanding. So some time had passed. We were hanging out one day, and we were just casually talking about, relationships, where we see the future of our lives going. And he casually mentioned that he was in a relationship, and I was like, whoa, wait. So I'm like, you're in a relationship with this person? Like, why didn't you tell me? His response was, you didn't ask. Y'all, when I tell you, I was ready to set the building on fire. I just couldn't believe that after so long of us knowing each other and hanging out, that he would be so casual and nonchalant and disrespectful of my feelings. Like, didn't we have this? We flat out had a discussion. Like, don't play me. Play Nintendo. You could do you. I'm not gonna be mad, but I'm just not gonna be around. That wasn't good enough. So because I did not ask him flat out, are you in a relationship? Every time we hung out, I somehow deserved to not know that he was in a relationship and be treated like the side chick when I didn't sign up for that. Some people sign up to be the side chick. Like, this person's in a relationship, they're married, yet you still deal with them. That's on you. I'm not hating on you for doing that. I didn't want that. I literally chose the opposite of that. Like, hey, I'd rather be single and not deal with you than to be your side chick or be the other woman. So we got into a huge fight over that. Did not speak for months. Months later, we run into each other, and then we plan to have a conversation about what had transpired. So we had the conversation. There was some apologies given, blah, blah, blah. And I realized this the other day. When that happened, my trust in him completely changed. Like, I looked at him totally different, and there was a part of me that felt like I could never really trust him again. And I think that's the part that hurt me most. It's like, yeah, you can break my heart, you can lie to me, but when you show me that you have total disregard for my feelings, I was like, okay, you're not who I thought you were. And I still think of him like that to this day. So we're about year 7, okay? So some time passed. I go out of town for work. We're still emailing back and forth. I'm still coming back and forth home. Still seeing him in the meantime. So now we're at year 10. So year 11, I move. No, let's go back. Let's go to year 15. Let's jump all the way ahead to year 15. So year 15, I'm finally done working abroad. I come back home to go to grad school, and we're back in the thick of it. We're back hanging out, doing the thing or whatever. And again, in that meantime of me being gone, he had been seeing other people. And I was cool with that. You know, like, hey, I was gone. You were here. We weren't in a committed relationship. So technically, you can do whatever you want. You're an adult. You're not my husband. You're not my prisoner. You can do whatever you want. Live your life, B. So, back to living your life. Every time one of your relationships didn't work out, which was all the time, you found yourself back over here with me. So, I don't know what you're doing wrong or what I'm doing wrong, but you here, bro. You here. But you still coming back to this. And at a certain point, I was just like, wait a second. Now, we've been doing this situationship for 15 years. Like, when are we gonna piss or get off the pot? Like, are we gonna make a decision to date and be together and be in a relationship? Or are we gonna make a decision to not deal with each other at all? Because what we're doing here is just, like, not cute. I'm 35 years old. I don't want to do this no more. I'm sick of it. His response was, he didn't want to hurt me. I'm like, what? You are full of it. You are full of that ish. Because you've already hurt me. You've hurt me more than any man I've ever casually dated in between you. Because I've known you longer. Like, we met in college. So anybody I meet after the age of 20 is not going to mean as much to me as you do. Just because of the numbers. Like, what you mean? But he was hell-bent on that position. That he didn't want to get into a relationship. Disappoint me, break my heart, hurt me. So he didn't want to take that step forward. I'm like, all right. Dealt with that. Wasn't ready to hear that. But I know that was his feelings, so I respect that. But the part that made me mad was like, you told me this in a Facebook DM. So after everything that we've been through, and I've known you since I was 20 years old, you didn't think that warranted a conversation in person? No? Okay, cool. So again, I'm seeing more and more who you are. All right. Now, we fast forward. We're in year 2020. We're in year 18. And we're still at it. As much as I'm like, oh my God, you get on my nerves. Like, why do I even bother with you? The truth is, I bother because I don't have the energy to start over. That sounds terrible. I mean, I know that's why like people are in abusive relationships, which is totally bad. But the reason why people stay is because they're afraid of the unknown. It's like the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't know. So I'm risking a serial killer, an abusive relationship, somebody who's a scammer, someone who's like a underground drug dealer, when I can just continue to be in this entanglement with this guy over here, because we've been doing it for 18 years. So that's where I'm at now. It's like I don't have the courage, I don't have the energy, I don't have the confidence, I'm just being honest, to start over from scratch. I've tried the Bumble, I've tried the Tinder, I've tried, what's the other one? Hinge. I've tried all of those, and I'm just not, my heart is not in it, like I guess my mind is just like, oh, let me go to Old Faithful. It's just like trying out a new recipe. I don't know how to sous vide steak, but you know what I know how to do? Grill them. So instead of me messing up this $20 bone-in ribeye, 18 ounce, by putting it in the sous vide and risking messing it up, I might as well just put some charcoal on the grill and throw the steak on there and cook it the old-fashioned way that I know. The trusty way that I know, because I don't want to ruin my opportunity. So that's the catch-22 about situationships, is that as much as they are not beneficial to you, they are trustworthy. It's like an old car that you know is just going to start in the winter. I don't know. It's the craziest thing. What are my takeaways from these 18 years? One, I've learned that I'm a pretty supportive person. And if I ever did get into a committed relationship, I'd be a very supportive girlfriend. Number two, I've learned how to manage my anger. Because I was a very angry person. Took anger management for a couple of years. And I learned to work through my anger issues through this entanglement. And I also learned how to be more communicative and more open. I like to talk, but when it comes to my feelings, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, and I don't want to upset anyone, and I don't want to upset myself. I typically, in the past, I didn't typically share my feelings and emotions. It would be written all over my face, but I wouldn't outwardly come out and say, you've upset me, I'm upset, I don't like when you do this, I'm hurt that you did this. I never said that. So I've learned that during this time, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the lesson of managing my anger and speaking up for myself. Lastly, I've learned that no matter how much someone says they love you and they care about you, it doesn't mean a thing if they aren't showing you that they love you and care about you, okay? Words mean less than nothing when you're treating a person you say you love with such disdain. Like, why mess with me anyway? If you're gonna treat me this bad, why bother? Like, just leave me alone. For the first time ever in my life, I have blocked someone. I blocked the entanglement guy. I just needed to separate myself from him and his energy. And I'm doing fine, guys. I'm not missing him and crawling back to him. It just got to the point where I was just like, enough is enough. Like, I can't continue to let such a toxic person have access, get on the chip, have access to my life. I'm not going to throw away the 18 years that we've had together and that I've known him. Am I happy I met him? Yes. I'm happy I met him at a time in my life where I could have easily been taken advantage of by a really bad dude. So he's not a terrible dude. He's just not a good dude for me. If he was here right now, I would tell him that I hope that you find what it is you're looking for in a relationship. And I hope that the person who you end up with makes you truly happy. That's what I would say. Come on, cheese. Well, that's all I have for today's video, guys. That was my little story time about my 18-year entanglement. If you guys have any questions about me or him, let me know in the comments below. I'm an open book. You guys can ask me anything. Like this video if it made you laugh, if it made you cry. Subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more of my story times and vlogs or any of my lifestyle tips for singles. Follow me everywhere at Jaye So Extra, and I will see you guys next time with another video. But until then, stay safe.